Well, hey guys, man, welcome back to the Come Up channel. Haven't uploaded a bit, so I was telling Sonny, man, I'm just super excited to be back and um, just interview people about their stories and just be able to talk about their successes and failures within life. So that way, hopefully we can give you the chance to relate or get inspired by them. So my guest today was in the Navy for 4 years as an air crewman and rescue swimmer. From there, he transitioned to the Army, where he found himself in the Green Beret pipeline. It would eventually don the Green Beret and serve 6 years as a Green Beret, and will get out in 2019. So currently, right now, he works with a firearms company to assist and educate individuals about products and provide support at events or shows. So finally, on his Instagram too, which I would highly recommend checking that out. I'll leave his little ad in the comment sections, so that way y'all can check it out or in the bio. So yeah, so anyways, on his Instagram, he'll display workouts that he does that you can do and that you can follow as well, and also on his I believe it's like a Patreon, I guess you can call it, a chance to get one-on-one coaching with him. So highly suggest that. I did the 30-minute coaching call with him. Got a lot of great intel. I mean, it was awesome. So I highly recommend that. And he also has some apparel as well. So check that out. So, hey, Sonny, man, welcome to the pod, man. Appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on board, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. So yeah, honored.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's kind of start off with a little bit of warm-up question, just kind of get the brain juices flowing and just kind
Yeah,
of see
yeah,
what you respond, man. So, first one is going to be, Sonny, man, what is your proudest accomplishment?
man. Well, proudest accomplishment, right? That's gonna be tough as far as the career goes, dude. Yeah, putting on that Green Beret, dude, and going through the course, right? Walking across the stage and putting that little green hat on was a big deal for me, man. It's kind of especially like where I kind of grew up and how I kind of grew up, right? And middle class family. I really didn't know what I wanted to do out of high school, kind of thing, but knew I wanted to be a part of something much bigger than myself. And uh, man, be surrounded by humans that right just don't accept just mediocrity, right? Like so easily putting that green beret on. Next to that would probably be a dive school because that school was fun, man. So
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get into that, man, because that I know that's very intense, and to see somebody with those on the uniform, I know that's like that symbolizes just awesomeness right there. But next one's gonna be, man, what was your favorite part of being a Green Beret? And the caveat to that too, what was the least favorite part of being a Green Beret?
yeah, yeah. I mean, kind of go along the lines, like I said, right. I think the best part about being on the teams is um, it's the culture, right? So you're surrounded by dudes who just are professionals in their craft, right? Passionate about what they do, just patriots, but people who just really don't accept like no for an answer, right? And uh, creating their own standard, creating their own path in life, whatever it is. But that was, like, looking back on it all, you get to do a bunch of cool stuff, right? Or, the training is awesome. You can't write some of the stuff you get to do, you can't make that stuff up. But for me, right, I was just really just appreciative and humbled to be around, a bunch of other dudes on a team who we all just were like-minded individuals. Man, I think that's the biggest part I miss is the camaraderie, right? Like it really is. So you don't get that anywhere else. Um, Least favorite part, man, that's kind of tough, dude. I think looking back, there's not a whole lot on the teams that I didn't like, and that's the coolest part. I think the least favorite thing is right. I mean, when you're traveling and you're going between schools and deployments and whatever it is, just being away from family would probably be the one thing that I'm looking back. It's like, okay, that sucks. But being on a team itself or being on an ODA or being a part of that community, no, man, there's nothing that's bad about it. Like I enjoyed every bit of it, man. So
Yes, sir. All right, man. Next one is gonna be, what is something wish you knew after graduating high school?
Something I wish I knew. Ooh. Uh, I think having, I was just talking about this actually. I think knowing a path, right, to success, and having somebody kind of coach you on what you're good at, right? Help you identify what you're good at in life, right? And being able to outline some options for you on whatever that may be, right? So like not everyone can agree that not everyone is meant to go in the military, right? It's not, right? Not everyone's meant to be a plumber. Not everyone's meant to go to college, right? Like I truly believe, I think everybody has something that truly defines them, right? That they have a natural tendency to be good at. So I think for me, um, I mean, I guess it would have been nice to have something a little more laid out for me, right? But right, I had to do some grinding on my own, right? Which was, it develops you, right, and makes you a better person for it. But yeah, out of high school, uh, and that's why I try to preach to my kids, like, I think it's okay. Like you're not going to be good at everything. You're not. There's people who are going to be better at you at certain things, right? But yeah, for me, man, I really think finding out what you're good at, what you like to do, what brings you joy in life, right? And then developing a plan, because there's a pathway to be successful, and whatever that is, there is, right? You just have to figure that out. But um, I think that would be something I'd tell like my 18-year-old self, like, dude, do what you love and go crush it. Period. Right. So.
All right, man. I got three more good ones for you, man. This one's gonna be what is the meaning of life for you?
Man, the meaning of life. So I think it kind of ties back into what I just said. I think if you're not living life to help other people, right? Like what are you doing? And so if you're not taking what God has given you, right, as a gift. So whatever that gift is, I think everybody's got one. I really truly believe that. But if you're not taking that and using it to the best of your ability to improve other people's lives, right? I mean, for me, that's it. Because like, what else is there? Like when it's all said and done, and you walk and you leave this world, and what do you want people to say about you, right? And I think that's kind of missed in our culture, in our society now, is having that honor in your name, and
Yeah.
right, and really not just living in the moment, but right, that kind of generational thinking of right, when I'm gone, right, what do I want my grandkids to say about me? How do I want my kids to view their dad growing up? And so for me, taking those gifts, applying it, wherever I can to make somebody else's life better than mine, right? And uh, yeah, and enjoying family. So,
Yes, sir. All right, I got two more, man. If you had to write a book about yourself, what would it be called and what would it be about?
man, uh, if I had to write a book about myself, as far as what it would be called, I'm gonna think on that one for a second as I'm
Yeah,
talking to
take
you,
your time, man. No
because
worries.
that's a good one, right? right,
Yeah.
right, man. No, I mean, I think it'd just be about a kid who doesn't want to settle, right? Who, uh, if I think about what some of the people who are close to me, what they've said about me, right? And uh, because your perception of yourself isn't always what you freaking think it is, right? Like, so taking other people's input, I think is valuable, and right, that helps make you a better person. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of like my wife and all the stuff she tells me that I should and should not do, right? What I'm good at and what I'm definitely not good at.
Yeah.
But and then think about all the dudes on the team that honestly helped develop me into the person I am today. I think the book would kind of be about uh, this kid who does not accept no, will find a way to get what he wants in life, right? whether that's in sports, athletics, man, family life, you name it, dude. Right? I think that's something that I've always tried to double down on is, if I want something or I don't like something, right, I have the power to change it, right? And in a lot of instances. So yeah, I don't know. The title's a good one, bro. Man, it's there's so many different ways I can go with that. Man, I don't know. It's maybe kind of cliche, right? But never quit, right? Or relentless, right? Something along those lines. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel like it's been, dude, since high school, right? Like, you listen to everything that mom and dad tell you, right? And you try to apply it in life, and you meet struggles, you have to climb these hills, and when things are good, right? But just around just at the top, there's a downside to the hill, right? And it's like you go back down, then you come back up, dude. So I don't know, man. I think something along the lines of just being relentless, right? So
Call it Sonny's way or no way.
That's funny, bro. Yeah, Sonny's way. Okay. That's cool.
All right, man. So last one's going to be, if your kids were able to look at this and, once your time has passed, what is an important life lesson your kids need to know?
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I think I've kind of already mentioned it, but my kids, like I'm a big family guy, right? That's number one for me. So I'm always trying to bore my kids with all these live talks, right? That, you get to pass on to them. But, I really want them to just know that, it's okay that you're not going to be good at everything in life. I want you to figure out what you like and enjoy in this world, because this world sucks, right? This world is not easy, so take some time, do some self-reflection, stay in shape. I think that's like the core of everything, right? Right. But yeah, man, like just apply what you're good at to help other people, right? The best you can. And just be a good person, and do the right thing. Right. So that's what I'd probably tell them.
All right, cool, man. I know I kind of feel like we went on a little sentimental roller coaster right now. But
yeah, man, you're right. You touched the kid chord, that's an easy one.
All right, man. Let's of course we got to start from the early lives.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning, of course, and just kind of tell us when and where you were born.
Yeah, so I was born in a town called Tracy, California. I grew up in like this. It's like the Central Valley area. There's not a whole lot there. It's kind of like the agricultural farming kind of community. Yeah, and then I went to high school in a town called Manteca. Went to SERE High School. Graduated, left there, wanted out. I wanted out bad, so I left. I played sports in high school, right? Football, track, basketball. Played some baseball, and then went to the Navy. I did that. Got married in the Navy. Had my first kid. Got out. Realized I wasn't done. I had a little break in service between the Navy, and then my wife was like, "Dude, just go." And she knew, right, kind of what I wanted out of life, and she's like, "Go get after it." And so I called the Army recruiter, and he's like, the only job we have for a prior service dude is 18X. And then I was like, what the hell is 18X? I don't know what that is, man. And he's like, Special Forces. It's like, cool, I'll be there tomorrow. Right. And then then he told me I had to go to boot camp again, man. I was like, oh, hold on, dude. So that was easily the best decision I ever made, man, was joining SF and going through all that. But yeah, man, that's kind of it.
Did you have any well, first off, what's your nationality? What are you?
Yeah, so Dad is dad's Puerto Rican, right? You're gonna like this. So dad's Puerto Rican, like Hawaiian, like that. They're from Hawaii, right?
Okay.
Uh, and then mom's Mexican, right? And there's some Native American in there, right? Like, uh, but I don't speak any Spanish at all. So, right, like,
I'm with you on that, man.
right.
It's weird, you know, because every time someone speaks Spanish to me, I have like a guilty thing.
Oh
of
yeah,
not, it's weird because like I feel guilty saying to them I don't speak Spanish, so I kind of
yeah, I
like
know.
play along as long as I can until they like, dude, this guy does not know Spanish.
Yeah, every time we go to a freaking restaurant or anything, dude, right? No, I don't do that. I don't speak Spanish, right? I should, right? Right? Like, my fault for not learning, you know, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, I speak Korean, but I don't speak Spanish, you know, so. Right.
Yeah. And do
So,
you have any siblings growing up?
yeah, so I have a younger sister who's just a grade lower than me, and then I have a brother who's 7 years younger than me. So I was the eldest out of all of them.
Which one were you the closest? Which one would you say you were like the closest to?
Man, I think growing up, my sister, because we were just closer in age, right? But and I left when I left for the military. My brother was young, and like I didn't really like I was gone doing my thing, and he was growing up. So like we never really had that opportunity to kind of to get close and grow closer together, right? And
Yeah.
but we actually live close by now, so he moved out near me, and so we've been hanging out and grown closer. So
Okay. And in terms of like your parents, like how would you describe like your relationship with them, and what was their approach they took to kind of raise you?
yeah, I think my it's kind of the joke in my family because I think I turned out the way I did because of both my parents. My mom was strict. I mean, I'll be honest, she was like that strict Catholic, Latin mom type, right? But she was cool. And, but that's how I was raised, right? I was raised up going to church, and that was the mom, And, but my dad's hardworking, right? Blue collar dude, nothing but respect. And, um, but he raised me hard, bro. Like the stories, like I could sit here for a while telling you the stories that dude, the things he did for me, to me, right? He was always messing with me. But uh, I think the approach to life, they always told me like nothing's going to be given to you, dude. Right? No one's like a direct quote is, no one's coming to your door. No one's knocking at your door going to give you these opportunities, bro. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you want something, you got to go get it, man. And that's kind of the approach I've taken into everything.
And as a kid growing up, were you like, how would you like categorize yourself? Were you more of like introverted, extroverted?
I think I was probably more introverted a little bit, right? I was always afraid of getting in trouble. I didn't want anything to do with getting in trouble. And then, right, play sports, right? Grew up in, uh, a small, I mean, basically it's a farm town, right? But, so for me, it was, yeah, uh, I didn't, I wasn't really that extroverted. And it's kind of in line too, like, cause now I'm definitely an introvert, right? Like I don't, uh, I guess that'd be one of the weaknesses is like, I'm not always the first one. I'll sit in the back row, right? And just wait for someone to say what's up, like, so, but I think it's because like where I grew up, man, like you don't, it wasn't like that. Like you just sit there and be quiet and you don't talk until you're spoken to, right? And that's how I was kind of raised, and it's kind of bled over into life a little bit. So, right.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was for me too, man. My dad was always
Yeah.
strict, and I always try to avoid trouble. Even if people would like try to make fun of me for like, why didn't you do something? I'm like, man, if I can
Yeah.
avoid it, I avoid it, man.
I was not trying to get whooped, bro. Right? like you learn real quick. You get a couple of good ones. You're like, nope. I either got to pay money or I'm gonna get hit. So I don't want to do anything, right? I'm gonna play by the rules, man. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, man, and just kind of capping off early life, man. Any fond memories that you remember that you can share? from reminiscing from growing up?
Yeah, from growing up. So, man, a lot of stuff would be for me is a lot of it was sports, right? I was big into that was what I did growing up was sports. So a lot of fun memories there, especially with the parents always dragging me around to go play travel ball, right? Which was that was the that was the thing every summer for man, I don't know, 10 years. So that was probably some fond memories, right, with the family there. But yeah, man, like I mean it when I say like my dad put me through a few things, right, to kind of test the soul of who I was, even at like freaking 13, 11, 12, 13, like, he was like, dude, I just didn't want anybody to ever mess with you, man. Like I wanted you to be tough, as an adult, because this world sucks. It's hard, So,
Yeah.
Looking back and those were the things that like he made me do, right? Um, Looking back, that's honestly what shaped the way I look at life and how I attack life. And so a lot of stuff from both the parents. Yeah, man.
Gotcha, man. All right, so now now we'll start kind of getting into you joining the military and just kind of just cruising from there.
Yeah.
So you of course you decided, like you mentioned earlier, you decided to join military right out of high school. Um, what was kind of the deciding factor that made you want to join right out of high school? Considering you played a multitude of sports, and I'm pretty sure you possibly could have went to college for one of those sports.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think the military was always going to be who I was, right? Like, um, I remember being a kid, dude, like, I don't know, maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. And my uncle was telling me like, why are you always so serious, dude? Like, you're going to go in the military. And that was just the kid. I don't know, right? That was just who I was, man. So, I have a lot of family in the military. My dad was in the military. Um, I know I always saw it as like, that was a challenge worth accepting. All right. That was something, or I wanted to serve the country. Right. That was what I wanted to do. And, along with a bunch of other people, but college, like I knew college was there, right, with the military, but I didn't really think about it when I was 18, honestly. I just wanted to get after it, man. So, for me, the military it's a great option, right? It really was, just to literally give you a step on the ladder to help you get to other places in life. And so I was like, well, if I looking at it, right, I was like, okay, well, I can go to college and go try to play ball somewhere, where I didn't get any freaking scholarships. I wasn't that good. I didn't get any offers, right? So, but I was looking at walk-on stuff, whatever. But I was like, I can go try to play ball, go into college somewhere, and always think about the military, or go, right? And that's the path I choose. So I chose. So
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Especially like you're 18. Let's say you didn't go to the army. You get out, you're like still like what 20,
what
21,
do you
22 or
do?
something. Like you're still good. It's almost like you did. It's almost
Yeah,
like you didn't even go. So
I know.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I was talking to my kids about it. I'm like, like 4 years is a joke.
mhm.
If you just sign up for the minimum, like, man, like go figure yourself out in the army, and go make a couple of bucks and go get some college, right? Go get some experience and whatever, and
Yeah,
come back out. You'll be a little sharper, right? Right. So
yeah. Not to get like too off subject, but since we are speaking like on military experience, is that something you are gonna like try to push to your kids? Like, hey, like high school, like you should not force them to go, but hey, like
right.
kind of you should go.
Um, I'm gonna lay out options for them, right, and give them show them what 10 years down the line looks for them, right? So we're just between 18, 25, 30, and 35 years old. Here's what you guys want to end up doing in life, right? Okay, cool. What are some options to get there? Here's a couple of different options, and that's what you got, right? So you figure it out, but I won't push it on them, because like I said, I don't think everyone's built for it, but built for the military. So But if they want to, oh yeah, right. I'll definitely support my kids serving the country. So
How many you got? I'm assuming you have a like what is it, girl, boys, or like what is it?
yeah. So I got 2 girls and then a boy. So,
Okay.
so
And yeah, that might. Do you tend to not hide, but try not to show them like all like uh, I don't know what do you call it, like just kind of all the memorabilia, I guess, from being a Green Beret, because it might influence him to go down that path.
nah, no. I mean, like I'll have stuff right over. Uh, I'll have stuff hung up, and they they look at it, but it doesn't really. I think they just see me as like the old salty dad that just can't give that shit up. Right? I think that's what they right. Like I think that's how they view me. But no, man. I don't try to hide anything, right? And if they'll ask me questions every once in a while, right? And I'll definitely give them the little watered down version of some things, right? And but like my wife was in the military too, so it's we're a military family, dude. So it's hard not to talk about like both of our like I got my dad was in the military, her dad and stepdad was in the military, so it's just who we are. So.
Yeah, I got you do room inspections over there.
Oh man, that's funny. I've had messed around with my daughters, and yeah, yeah, I had them stand toe to line, right? Right,
Oh
but
man,
but
that
yeah,
got me flashbacks right there. It's a
yeah, yeah.
All right, so kind of going back into you joining the Navy. Why the Navy out of all the other branches?
I think a big part of it was I had a couple of friends who joined the Navy, and then my dad served in the Navy, so that was a big part of it for me. And then I definitely looked at I wanted to go be I wanted to be a swimmer, and then buds was like always on the table, right? When I got in, and so I tried to go to buds, but or I tried going that route, but in the Navy, uh, it's not like the Army to where like you can go put a packet in and just go to selections. It's not like that. So I eventually got out of the Navy because I was like, well, I guess I'm. It was like so hard to go, man. They weren't letting dudes go to buds. It was pretty difficult. Um, so I got out, and then I still had the fire inside of me, right? And I was like, I'm gonna go to cool. Let's go in the Army. Let's go do this, right? So
So what was your like? Can you remember like your enlistment experience? Like, can you kind of walk us through enlisting in the
yeah,
Navy and your kind of thought process of choosing that job?
um, yeah. So listening to the Navy, right? Again, 18. I guess I was 17 at the time. Yeah, my parents signed for me. I remember, like I was still in high school, but yeah, like just exploring different jobs and really didn't even know what was out there. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't, and like Google had just come out. I don't know, like 4 years before that. So right, there wasn't a lot of stuff, man, on the internet, right? And um, much different time. It's crazy to think about. Like, man, am I that old? That sucks. Like there was nothing out there that you can kind of watch. And so like I remember watching some videos at the Navy recruiter's office, and I was like, I want to go do that. I want to go save people, and that was what my initial thought process was. And so yeah, so I joined and didn't exactly want to do 20 years in the Navy with that. So it's like, I'm gonna get out, and that's what I did, right? And yeah, man, stuff kind of buffs out for like the way they're supposed to. It's weird, right? I like honestly, the Army when I was 18 years old, I'm not joining the Army. I'm not doing that, And then like you go through life and you experience a few things. You're like, you know what, this is it, And when I enlisted into the Army, and I remember going in to boot camp, I was like, dude, this is where I belong. All right,
Yeah.
so.
Is air? I don't know if it was at the time, but was air rescue still considered special operations? Because I know it's special operations.
I think it was either on the cusp or like it had just was just considered special operations, or either one. I can't remember, but it was close, right? I mean, like it was a fun job, it was. So it was, I did enjoy it, and I still have, man, I still have a bunch of good buddies I talked to from the Navy, right? And that was '07, right? '08 time frame. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like just converting or something like that.
And in terms of like Navy boot camp experience, how was that for you? Was it a culture shock, or you kind of fit in?
Culture shock, a lot of freaking cleaning. I remember, right? Like a lot of cleaning and friggin' yeah, that whole rack drills, man, like making your bed, like that was a thing I remember. But yeah, definitely a culture shock. First time away from home. Just barely learn how to tie your shoes, right? At that point in life, right? So you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, ultimately, I knew it was a good decision to do either way, no matter what, right? So
was there any um, big struggles for you during boot camp that you struggled with?
no, staying awake, right? like that was probably the biggest thing. No, not in Navy boot camp, man. I mean, none of the boot camps, I don't think nothing was like really stood out as like a hurdle or like a struggle, right? I mean, I think being away from home that first time when 18 years old, like that was probably the biggest thing. But everyone else is doing the same thing you are, for the most part, and so no, you just learn. It's either you learn to adapt, right, and be flexible, or your life's going to be miserable, right?
So in the Army, like they go to AIT, but in the Navy, I think it's like A score or something like that.
Yeah. So I went to I did boot camp in Great Lakes, did Chicago, and then went over to Pensacola for like the whole air crew rescue swimmer pipeline. All right, so did that, and then I ended up in San Diego, which is like you go to what's called like your frac, so where you learn how to fly in helicopters or as a crewman.
Yeah.
And so I did that at San Diego, and then I got stationed in San Diego. So I spent like, I was like there till 2012, I think. That's when time frame. Yeah.
Okay.
So
were you like during the swim portion for air rescue, like were you very comfortable in the water, or you kind of
yeah,
just freaking through a fire hose kind of thing?
No, I think that how I grew up, I was always like it's funny. I mean, there's not like a lot of lakes and rivers where I grew up, but my dad and my mom, like we always went to the water. Like we'd always go to like big trees, right? Like out there in California, and we were always going to and doing stuff in the water. And that, like, I always enjoyed being in the water and being subsurface, to be honest. So I didn't swim in high school. Right. I think anybody who has, and I know a lot of people who weren't swimmers who just figured it out and would not quit, right? And who became rescue swimmers. But like as far as like the water piece, man, and in rescue swimmer school, it's definitely water. So you always respect the water, but right, like, but yeah, I think I don't remember that being like that wasn't the thing that sucked the most, right? So,
really, wow. Because
yeah.
I know that's like a lot of people, maybe even including myself. Like sometimes you can tend to freak out. Like once you start getting air hungry, your mind just wants to like submerge the surface and just gasp like as much air as possible. So, what were some techniques they would teach you, like to stay calm, have your body not, because a lot of people like if they're not comfortable, they're so tense,
Right?
You know what I mean? And it's just restricting them.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of the stuff you do in rescue swimmer school, it's all surface level stuff, right? So like you'll go do some mass clearing stuff, and but you're not really living a submerged life in rescue swim as a rescue swimmer. Like you're not like going down and holding your breath for minutes or whatever. But as far as just being in the water, yeah, you just understand Like you get to the point where you understand that you're not meant to live in the water. You're not. No one. No. There's no human who's supposed to live in water, right? It doesn't. It's not a thing. So I think once you can learn to respect the fact that the entire time you're just surviving, the entire time, right? Whether treading water or swimming, and once you just, I think just a lot of reps, right? There wasn't anything specific back then, in rescue swimmer school, that anybody was like, they just told me to suck it up, you know, right? Like, to be honest, you know, like, I got way more comfortable in the water when I went to dive school later.
So did they that picture you showed me where you had your hands and feet tied? Was that in air? Was that when you were in the Navy, or was that?
No, that was Army. That was dive school. Yeah, that picture was pre-dive. Yeah.
I kind of just want to go in that moment, like, what do you like? What's
Sure.
going in your head? Because I mean, that's crazy, man. Like, you're just like, it's already a struggle as is for most, you know. But having to do something like that, it's just like, you know, adrenaline.
I mean, you know, and that's why I say I think honestly things happen for a reason at certain times in your life, because putting myself in those two different moments, right? And whether it's rescue swimmer school and when I was old, I was in mid-20s going through dive school and pre-dive. I don't know if I would have been able to handle it when I was 18, to be honest. I don't know how I would have reacted, but you're surrounded by a bunch of other people, right, who just are very comfortable in the water. And so once you get down there, for me, man, I just never wanted to be incapable of doing something like that hard. I never wanted to be that person who told like my kids or anybody else to like, no, I couldn't hold my breath, right? Entire freaking knot underwater. That wasn't who I was. And so I always try to focus on, everyone would tell you to focus on your breathing and slow your heart rate down. And there's all these scientific explanations for it. But, you know, when you're down there holding your breath and tying those knots, I think it's all in the prep and the train up. So the stuff you do on land, you just implement it when you're down 10 feet in a pool, right? Like you get to the point where you start feeling that burn in your throat, you know, and I don't know, you kind of just take yourself to a different place. Everyone has their own happy place. They do, right? Like my buddy had his, I think he would always think of like freaking Snickers bars or something like that, right? I don't know what it was, but you know, for me, like I always thought of I would actually picture myself breathing and try to slow myself down when I was down underneath the water, right? Just to manage the heart rate. But and then also I think on top of all that though is focusing on the task at hand, right? And I think that's what going through the Q course teaches you. You know, there's just all this noise and there's just chaos that's always around you, but you know, you understand what the task is.
Yeah.
You commit yourself to that and then you execute, period. Right. Nothing else matters, you know, and that's what helps when you're down there, dude.
So just kind of like touching up a little bit on your time in air rescue. So you graduate, you kind of get through that whole pipeline. How was like checking into the unit for you? Like, was it pretty nerve-wracking, or were guys pretty like welcoming?
I think everyone has their own experiences. Mine was a little nerve-wracking, right? I was still young, ignorant, on ornery, right? I was a punk, dude. You know, like I was, man. You know, I could have been. I could have helped the initiation process, right? When you walk into that team and like the air crew side of stuff. But to be honest, everybody was really cool with me. They were, right? But I think I was just young and just ornery, bro, right? Stubborn, right? And so I didn't help the process because you grow up, man, right? Like not being told, you know, don't take anything from anybody, right? And that's how I was raised, dude. And so that doesn't really mix sometimes, right? In the military, right? There's a whole, the chain of command, there's hierarchy there, man. But this is the military, and people are tough, right? And I just wasn't. That's just who I am. I wasn't gonna let anybody treat me a certain way, right? So, but at
How
the
would
end
you
of the
describe
day,
like the culture, like that culture, and that you like? What was the culture like?
um, yeah, such a long time ago. Uh, I think the culture was, I think it was. I mean, it's definitely different, right, than the Army culture. It was, but everybody's still motivated, right? Everyone still loves what they do, and they find passion in what they do, right?
Yeah.
So as far as the culture, though, I mean, it's definitely different than like than being on ODA and going in that team room for sure. But everybody was man, everybody's motivated, dude. They are, right, and they understand that. The actions that they take or the actions that they don't take could result in somebody's life being saved or not saved, right? So,
Yeah.
so with that mentality going and applying that right in your job, that's how the kind of the culture is, So,
And what's like from what I know it was quite a while ago, but like what were training cycles like? Like what was kind of the day to day for y'all? Like what were y'all doing as a rescue swimmer?
so I mean, you have your flights, right? And so you're always flying, right? Whether day flights, night training, night flights, a lot of training. And it varies between different squadrons and different units and stuff. But I mean, day to day, right? Always PT, um, and whether you're training for, whether you're gearing up for, right, a small deployment or whatever it is, Westpac. I never did a Westpac. I never did like any type of deployment in the Navy. But it's just training, man, right? It's like you're training for the next thing, right? And you're always trying to improve your skill set. So that's basically it.
Okay. And we'll kind of start like capping off the Navy experience, but what is something you miss like what's something you do miss about that community?
Um, the Navy, and then I think just like any other branch, but um, I did appreciate the lineage in the Navy, right? And that culture and um, I don't know. There's something about the Navy that's special. It's always been near and dear to me. Right, that was like my first real experience in the real world, and I definitely learned a lot and grew up. Um, definitely grew up a lot in those like 4 years I was there. It was in the Navy, but man, I mean, one thing I probably missed the most is San Diego. My place was
Hands
gorgeous,
down.
right? So, yeah.
um, and then kind of going back, like you said, you were trying, you had that itch to do more. You wanted to go to Buds, but it wasn't like the Army where you could just put in a packet and boom, you have a selection date to go to Buds. So you're
Mm-hmm.
like, man, like I'm getting out here. So kind of resuming back to what you were saying, where you're transferring over to the Army, and the recruiter was like, hey, we only have 18x rate contracts. So kind of bring us back from there, and if you knew even what an
Mm-hmm.
18x was.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got out, um, and I just wasn't happy. I wanted to do more, right, in life, and so
Yeah.
um, the wife told me to call the Army, and I was like, nope, I'm not calling the Army. I don't know anything about the Army. I'm not calling them. But I ended up calling, and the guy, right, the guy said, yeah, the only job we have is 18X, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Um, never I never read any books about SF. Like, to be honest, I didn't even know what the SF mission was. Had no idea, man. I just knew that these dudes they're hardcore and they get after it. Period. Right? It doesn't matter what the mission is, you know. And that's how I always kind of viewed them. Just people in soft. Period. I don't care what branch you're in. there's just a different breed of human, right? And so that was what I was always attracted to, was that kind of person, So end up calling. I was there the next day, right? Went to MEPS, had to go to boot camp again, which it was different going as the older dude, right? I was 20, 23 or something like that, but I was the older guy, right, in boot camp. So, um, but yeah, I mean, like from the moment I got to boot camp, I mean, that has its own, challenges, but I knew that I was kind of in the right spot in life as far as the people, I was surrounded by, the things, just the things you get to do in between the two different basics, right? So I definitely, I enjoyed that process. And then, you get to, went to airborne school right after that. That was, airborne it is what it is. It's not like it's, it's, they always said that was the gateway to like more advanced things. So did that, went up to SOPSI, went to, right, that, the prep course, which was an awesome time. And stuff changes, right? But it's changed so much. But when I was there, SOPSI was, man, I thought it was great. Like we
I heard
worked
that
out.
was a crusher, man. I heard like top speed was harder than SFAS. Like literally, like
Yeah.
you were getting through SFAS.
Yeah. So they tried to make it hard like that, right? I mean, it definitely sucks, there's a lot of things that are definitely difficult, but the SOPSI, like I experienced, was nothing but working out and and eating and sleeping. That was like our experience. They're always trying to change. They're always trying to change stuff, man. Right? But you do land nav, and but the physical part, you definitely put in a lot of miles in SOPSI, and then going to selections is, man, that's a whole nother game, bro. Right? It doesn't. You can't. You can prepare as much as you want physically, right? You really can. You can be the best athlete, but there's a way that selections, right? And I assume it's the same way for other pipelines or in other branches, but there's just a way of bringing everybody to a neutral state, and testing who you are, like deep, as a, like, okay, cool, we're gonna bare bones everybody, right? Strip them away of everything they thought they were good at. Now we're gonna test to see who they are as a person when they don't have sleep, they don't have food, they're wet, cold, tired, hungry, right? Pissed off, right? And so that was, man, that's a battle, bro, right?
Yeah,
19,
man, it's
19 days, dude.
Dude, it is crazy. Like I remember I was in before I got out of the guard, we went to Cali for like a train exercise, and I remember like, man, we would have like, I think we were like, for that whole week, we were sleeping like maybe like 2 hours. Like we would get like 2 hours. I mean, we would have little cat naps here and there, but at night, when we're finally bedding down, we have like 2 hours of sleep, until we had to like conduct mission. And I would just remember like it being like so cold, and then we're having to put like our rucksacks on and stuff like that, and just get ready. Like I was an AG too, so I had to carry like the ammo, and I was just like, oh my god, and I had to carry it was crazy, man. I had to carry this 40, and I was like, dude, like, and it made like sometimes in those moments, I'm like, man, like, I wonder what selection is like. Like this 10 times that for sure. Like of course, I'm just like, man, I wonder what these guys are like thinking, feeling, because y'all are carrying like heavier loads than us, and you have that big rucksack on, and like you said, it's cold. You're just kind of it's just that mentality to get up and to keep pushing. It's just like, it's like, dang, man, like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like, there's no half wanting it, right? Like you don't go there and just, I kind of want to do this, because it sucks, right? It's miserable.
Yeah.
But But that's where you start to weed out people, right? And you get it's great, right? Because you get to see people who are completely unassuming, right? And you're like, no, there's no way this dude's making it. And this dude and that one dude who you doubted would crush it, right? And then you have other people who are just physical monsters, right? Who even have it all together, don't make it, right? For whatever reason, whatever it is, it just breaks you down, man, and makes you rethink life a little bit, right? So
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to like think about, like second guess. Like you have to be a PT stud. Character wise, you have to be there. And the suck thing is, like, you can go through the whole 3 weeks and still not get selected. And you're like, dude, I didn't like. It's just such a. There's so many different things that could go through your mind that could really just psych you out and be like, you know what, like I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables, man, right? And a lot of stuff's out of your control, right?
Yeah.
You literally, but you know, like dudes ask, you know, and I tell them it's like you're going in, you prepare the best you can, right? But you have to be the person who suffers before everybody else does, right? So if you're always looking to carry the bigger loads, you're always looking out for your teammates, right? There's obviously pieces that where you have, as an individual, you have to pass events, you know, so you know you have to have that capacity to do that, but it's a team thing, man. You know, like once you get like land navs, like that's all on your own. That'll break people off, you know, by itself, and you really find out who you are as a human, right? At 3 o'clock in the morning in the dark, right, by yourself in the woods. So, but you just gotta be a good person. Like sometimes it's so simple as hard sometimes because so many things are going on, right? Right. You can definitely let it consume you and start self-selecting, right? And like get, they call it like paralysis by analysis, you know, and you just kind of freeze up and you don't know how to act in certain situations, man. But, you know, I think some of the advice I got was like, when it's your time to lead, be the leader, right? And and make a call, right? Understand what the mission is, right? Set your objectives, know the strengths and weaknesses in your team, go crush it, man. Like you're not going to figure everything out, right? Like you're only going to get a 70% solution, 30% flexibility, dude. Right. And then the rest, cool. Just figure it out. Cause that's kind of the mentality when you're not going to know everything when you get to where you're going, right? On ODA, you're not, you know, there's too many things to account for, man. So.
Yeah. 100%, man. And, man, it's crazy. I always think about my boy Terry. He was in my old set, and man, hopefully I can get him on here. I talk to him here and there. Hopefully I can get him, interview him one day. But, yeah. Anyways, he was 20 years old, man. And I remember being a basic. He was always so disciplined, like hard-working guy. And he was like debating, like, man, I don't know if I want to go Rangers or SF. And ultimately, well, he was in the guard too, like me, so he couldn't really go Rangers. But he ultimately, no matter what, he was like, you know what, I want to go SF. Like the mission set was for me. He was reading books about it, and I remember this one moment. It was like during our training exercise. It was pouring, raining, like just really bad. Like the feet was like up to almost up to like my knee, almost. It was crazy. And of course, like a lot of people, you know, are just like everybody's kind of like, dang, like we just want to like we really got to sleep out here. Like, do we have to sleep out here tonight? You know, it's just everybody's thinking the worst, man, because it was just so much. Like, there's no way you're gonna pull your baby cycle or whatever and sleep. It's just that much. You were gonna get wet no matter what. So it was terrible. But the drill sergeants were like, hey man, like hey, we're taking y'all back to the CTA, they call it.
Okay, yeah.
CTA, we're like our barracks basically.
Yeah.
And Terry was upset. He was like, dude, this sucks. Like, I want to be out here. Like, I don't want to go. And immediately once that happened, I knew. I was like, this guy's different. This guy's different. Like, he's got something to him. He's got some screws loose. And
Yeah.
sure enough, man, like this guy, he pushed to he got a 18x contract right out of OSET. The drill sergeants pushed for him. He got awarded the PT honor man or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He got like a 300 on the PT test, and yeah, man, he ended
Oh,
up passing, and I was like, wow, like blew my
yeah.
mind because and I asked him, I was like, hey man, like you didn't know a lot about certain stuff. Like he's like, dude, just be a good guy, put your head down, like work as hard as you can. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
made it 20 years old at 20, and
Yeah.
that's like, can someone be unheard of in that community? They want older guys, more experience, but I mean, it just goes to show, be a good guy and work hard.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no magic formula to getting through, right? There's nothing, you can do all the prep courses in the world, right? And,
Yeah.
like that old saying, like you can bring a horse to water, right? But you can't make him drink it. Like once you're there, there's so much so much to think about. There's so many things going on, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like not like we're just regular dudes, just regular people, right? With a just just a very unrelenting attitude towards life, right? Like we just will not quit. It doesn't matter, right? And you got to know what you're getting yourself into, right? You can't not prepare for it, but it's the formula is, there isn't one, man, right? And it's just like you said, I really do think it's being a good person, right? Doing what has to be done,
Yeah.
right? And right, like just picking other people up, man, right? And knowing when to support, right? Knowing when to support the leader and lead, and yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, that's what counts, man. Like, what makes it hard is like all the like most of these selection is when you're tired, hungry, and all that stuff. Can you still be a good teammate? Can you still, even though you don't want to, maybe carry this guy's weapon or rucksack for a little bit because he's drained. Just being a good teammate.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, man.
That's kind of what they're looking for, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was never catcher, right? Like, and so like I still don't know what they look for, like I still don't know, right? Like I don't know, but like there's I remember always thinking, man, like this, if you learn how to be comfortable, right? I think I might have told you that, like you learn how to be very comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and that's where you learn to thrive. At the end of the day, do you still have fingers, hands, toes, feet, right? Like, is everything still functioning? Cool. Yep. You're good to go, man. Go get after it, right? And go pick that thing up, or go drag this thing for this dude, or whatever the case is, right? I think it's just, there's a lot to it, but
Yeah.
people overthink it, man. And they let it just consume them, dude. Right.
You just have to have that why. Like if you really want it, like if it's something that you really want, or like, let's say like it's like a job position you really want, you're going to go through like, hell and earth just to do that. No matter what happens, no matter the setback, even if you don't pass, you're going to find a way to get back.
Yeah.
SFAS or, whatever school, so you can pass it. You're going to keep going until they tell you like, you can't go no more. I mean, it's just mentality and just having that why. But did you have any imposter syndrome, like at all? Like looking at some dudes that were like PT stuff, great land, all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I had that like throughout the entire time, man. I never felt like I was worthy. I never felt worthy of being of living up to all the other. I mean, you go back to like Mac v Sock, right, and OS, like those dudes are just, man, some hard humans, right? And then you get to the teams, and everyone around you is just a stud. Like they're just great people, great dudes. Very competent at what they do. So the entire time from SOPSI, right, when you're looking at dudes who are just these PT, not like just crazy dudes, right, PT studs, and then also like some like really intelligent humans, right? Like, man, Like you're a smart, like you look at some people and you have conversations like, you know, you're a smart person, bro. Like, oh my goodness, you know,
Sure you should be.
right? Right. Right. You know, but you know, you have all these interactions, but like, so it's very easy to let yourself, to self-select. Right. Right. So you just stay focused on, you know, what you're capable of, what you bring to the table. Right. You have to do some, some self-analyzing to figure out, okay, I don't have this, I don't have that, you know, but here's what I do have, and here's what I have to offer, right? And I'm just not gonna quit. You know, you have to drag me away from here, right? And so,
And what worried you most? Like about what worried you the most about SFAS? Was it land navigation, battle drills? Like what was it that worried you the most?
what worried me the most,
Yeah,
I think,
like
yeah. So, the one thing that was that always was heavy on my mind was land nav going through selections, man, because that's the equalizer, right? Like water, they call water the equalizer. I think land nav is like right next to it, man, because there's so many things that if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, right? Like there's a lot of things going on. The distances are ridiculous, right? They're not short. The ruck is respectable. You know, it's not a lightweight. I always thought land nav because I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up like in the woods.
yeah,
So for me, like it's like, man, I got to pay attention to these classes. You know, like they teach you everything you're supposed to know, and then you go out and execute it, right? And that's what I just try to focus on was, okay, they tell me to do this, they tell me to do that, use a backstop here or whatever it is, right? And you know, trust your azimuth, pace count, right? Like stay out of draws, stay away from draws. Okay, I think I might be able to do this, you know. Right? But that was for me, land nav, dude, was like, man, that was the hurdle, like mentally, I think. So
did you with carrying that rucksack, like carrying that weight? I would assume it's like maybe 45 pounds or so. I mean, no matter what, like it's gonna get heavy over time. You know, as you're just moving through those distances. Did you adapt well to that, or was that a struggle for you?
no, so the weight. I mean, they say 45, right? But it's more than that, right? It's easily more than 40. It's I don't know. I think it's maybe around the 70 range, just depending, right? Somewhere. But I don't know. I don't remember. I remember it being more than 45. But the weight does increase throughout the entire course, and for me, the rucksack just like I was in shape, man, but it just sucks, dude. Like they're I don't know. I never got used to having a ruck on my back. Like, you know, like it doesn't. I don't care. For me, other people did, right? Other people would crush wearing a ruck, whether it's ruck marches or whatever it is. But wearing a ruck for me was like, man, every time I put this thing on, this is miserable, right? Like this, this isn't fun, you know, for hours on end, you know. No, so no, I hated putting on a ruck all the time. Right? Like I did not like that, dude. No, but you just cool. This is part of it, right? Like whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's the worst, especially when you like at a stopping point and you just put it down. You have to put it back on.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's like demoralizing.
Like people think you just pick it up. And, you know, like some people have to really like. Some people sit down and you know go up.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like, put it over their head. It's just so many like different techniques.
Do the rucksack flop, right? Like, dude, it's like you're so tired you don't even want to bend down to like sit down. You just want to fall down, right? And yeah, man, the ruck is
yeah,
definitely
any injuries that you had to like overcome as you're going through SFAS?
I did have like a little knee cellulitis, right? That was starting to creep up, but I got that under control. That was the only thing that was like a big deal. I just got an infection, I remember, in my knee, but other than that, dude, there wasn't anything that was that my body, I felt like my body was decent going through some stuff. Definitely was sucked, and I remember crushing I felt like my spine was getting crushed sometimes, but I remember carrying a log and like looking to like my left and right. I'm like looking at these dudes and like this, and everyone's sucking, dude, right? Right? Like, dude, this is miserable. But no, man, didn't have too many injuries. So.
And like, was there anybody specific that you like kind of looked at like for motivation as you're doing that? Like, let's say like in the log, you're sucking, you look at that guy and you're like, okay, he's composed. Like, let me suck it up and let me just fighting.
Yeah, when you're, because everyone has those moments, right, where you start to question, like literally who you are as a person. And I think that's like the wall, right? Like you're like, okay, this is the point in time to where things suck. And then you look around you and everybody else is in the same position you are, right? And like, you're no different than them, and they're still crushing it and still going through it. And then there wasn't like one person in particular that I can think of. There's obviously some studs that were there that just walk through. I think maybe one or two guys are just crushed selections, right? As far as like the physical stuff. But no, man, when you look around and you see everybody else in the same boat as you, still getting after it, older than you too, right? Like there were a couple guys in their 30s, like they're not quitting, like you're okay, you're fine.
It's crazy because I think I was on Instagram and I think I was saying for 20th group they were like asking questions or like answering questions.
Yeah.
And, they were like, yeah, this 48-year-old passed. I was like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah.
So it just goes to show, like, hey, man, like, doesn't matter how you are. Like, if you want to do it, you can do it. I mean, 48 years old. That's like,
awesome. Yeah.
I believe that's what it was. If not, it was in his 40s. But like, that's what I remember. 48. I'm like, that's freaking crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
In terms of like battle drills and learning terrain models, like just kind of army stuff that you weren't really accustomed to in the Navy.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
That was kind of that was definitely a learning curve, right? Because you're surrounded by dudes, a lot of dudes who have prior, right, armor experience, some Ranger dudes, infantry dudes, whatever it is. You have guys who have that tactical proficiency. I did not, right? So, going through the course, I remember linking in, right, and trying to snap link in with a couple of dudes who were just prior, right, combat experience and all, and everything that you'd want in a soldier. These kind of dudes, I remember, like just kind of like, hey man, what do we do here, right? And really trying to pick their brain and and learn from them, right, and learn from their experiences and ask for help when you absolutely need it. Try to figure stuff out on your own first, right? But then, okay, cool. I got to study. I got to, it's just like anything else. You got to put in the work to be proficient at it. But no, I definitely try to like pick the brains of some of the experienced guys, man, because that's the learning curve for a lot of X-rays is because they don't have that, they don't have that to default on. So.
Were you a little nervous, like kind of showing that, like around cadre, like you didn't know, and you're like, crap, like they're gonna think I don't know what to do, and like you start having that self-selecting kind of mindset?
You can't. Yeah, there's definitely points to where, right. You don't want to. It's like every alpha male that's in there. You don't want to show weakness, no matter what, no matter what it is. But like the people know like you're an X-ray. They know that you're not as experienced as the E5 was going through, right? Yeah. So there's a point in time to where I remember thinking like you apply what you've been taught and you do so aggressive. You do it aggressively, right? And you have authority in your actions when whether you're running, a battle drill or whatever it is. Like be decisive, man. Right? Like that's going into it. Going into the Army, that wasn't anything I just never really like I never really was taught it, didn't understand it or whatever. But the ability to be decisive and not hesitate is, man, that is like That is one of the biggest takeaways I have walking away from that community is man, you can't hesitate, right? Like you're not going to know the answers. You do everything you can to prepare, right? And these are all the things that I got from like all those experienced guys. But when it comes time to make a decision, you make a sound and timely decision, right? Like it's like Ranger handbook stuff, man. And you be aggressive in your actions. You know, is it always going to work out? No, it's not, right? But if you can stand behind what you did and justify it, cool. Okay, we can fix a few things, right, to get you to where you need to be. But you can't teach people to just like be aggressive. You can't teach people to lead, right? I mean, you can show them, right? And there are, you know, yeah, you can educate people on how to do it, but when it comes time to be the leader, it's up to that person to make that conscious decision to lead their squad or platoon or whatever, right? Like you have to have something inside you, you know? So, yeah, I mean, you're always kind of like, you're on edge throughout the entire time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I think one thing I struggle with that I've over time, I've learned to overcome, and I know would probably be a big thing too, like with like, let's say selection is like, if you don't know something, like let's say they're giving like a course of instruction, they're like, all right, who doesn't understand? And you look like, I'll have the tendency to look around and I'm like, okay, no one's raising their hand. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Is, you know, raising your hand, like having that courage, I guess you could say, to like,
yeah,
you don't want to look dumb or sound dumb, whatever the case may be. You have to, like, if you don't know, like, it's imperative to ask. You know what I mean?
It
like,
is.
You know, it's better to just, you know, just ask than not know at all. And then when you are in that situation, you're like, dude, I should just ask. Now I'm even more embarrassed now in this moment. I could have been in that moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think there's tact to everything, right? I do. All right. There's timing and everything. And so, I mean, I still have that inside of me. Like, oh, I don't want to ask the question. Right. Like even now. Right. And, you know, mid-30s, like, nope, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to figure that out. Right. But, you know, no, I think there is a time to when you need to ask and you should ask. I think there's a time to where you can say, hey, you know what? Let me do a little research first. Let me try to figure this out myself because this isn't pressing, right? This isn't a pressing issue. I can try to do a little bit of research and, all right, and then go ask the question later, right? But no, I think at the end of the day, yeah, there's looking back, there's a lot of times I'm like, man, I'm not raising my hand right now, bro. I'm not about to raise my hand right now, you know? And I don't, you know.
It's hard, yeah. Like it's hard. Like you said, there is timing. There is times where you're like, okay, like I shouldn't ask in this moment, or I could research and then go back. But hey, like definitely, like yeah, like I mean, if you need to ask, like just ask, man. Like you're gonna have to figure it out at some point anyway. So. And not only that, sometimes it's like you may need like different teachers because someone might explain something.
Yes,
the teacher may explain something to you, but this person might explain it, and like you, for some reason, the way they did it makes sense. Like I remember I was at work and I was trying to figure something out, and I was like, dude, I cannot figure this out. And all these different people are trying to explain it. And then finally, one of my coworkers was like, hey, this is how I do it. And I was like, dude, this makes sense. Or like, this is so easy. I can't believe I overcomplicated it. So sometimes you're just having a different perspective on that.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. No, that's huge, man. No, you're absolutely right. Like just because you heard something from somebody, right? Everybody looks at things differently, and everyone has their own experiences, right? On the same topic, somebody else will be able to bring some things that, like, you know, some clear some things out for you. And it's okay to. I think I do that now, right? Like just because I know, like you're never gonna know everything, right? And once you kind of you just remain humble, right, in your actions. It's okay to ask people, you know, certain questions and ask multiple people. Because that's like, you learn through other people's experiences, right? Like that's the thing. So, right, I try to get all that, try to become as knowledgeable as possible. Right. Cause I mean, you know, like, man, I don't feel like, you know, like I'm not like the most educated human. So I don't know everything. Okay. Right. I'm just a hardworking dude. Right. That's just how I view myself. But this dude is smart. I want to pick that dude's brain, right? This dude is great in this area, right? But give me all the knowledge, please, right? Ask all the questions at the right times, right? And I think that's which is just kind of a good way to kind of look at life. So
Yeah. And to kind of cap off like SFAS, I know you've kind of already like sprinkled like all these different like tidbits and like advice, but you know, guys are always gonna ask like, what are like the big things to succeed like in SFAS? Like, what are some like big, some of the big tips you could say like to succeed in SFAS?
yeah, I think right, obviously it'll be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Number one is trust your azimuth, right? Well, like more of the I don't know, more of the tactics behind it, right? Trust your azimuth. Draws aren't your friend, right? But you know, it's kind of more generally, if you don't have like the leadership or the tactical background, right, or whatever, when you're going into it, man, be the person, be who you are, right? You can't change who you are as a human. Like the cadre will see right through that, you know. But you got to look at it like the cadre are going back to a team, right? Like they are looking at the dudes who are going to go to the teams too eventually, you know. So can you be that person who leads when it's time to lead, who supports a leader's decision when it's time to do that, right? Who's flexible. You're not going to know all the answers, right? Like that whole 70-30 thing, 70% solution, that you're not going to get all the answers. So cool. What's the 70% solution? Great. We're going to crush it now, right? Leave some room for some contingencies, but find out who the leaders are, the like the more experienced guys are, right?
Yeah.
Obviously prepare physically, but find out who you'll find them out. You'll find out who they are, right? And pick their brains, you know, and start to grab bits and pieces from people that you like, right? As far as their experiences and right, like advice and stuff, same stuff, you know, the same stuff. Yeah, man, it's hard to give like some big things, but you know, there's not one thing that's going to help. Like my one thing isn't going to help, you know, the next person or whatever. But I think overall, it's preparing yourself physically, man. Yeah, be a hardworking human that just will not quit. Right, like they have to see the heart inside you. You know.
Got it, brother. And moving into the Q course now, for those like who aren't really aware of the Q course, like what is the Q course and like what does it really like consist of?
Yeah, so so once you pass selections, right, it doesn't mean you're a Green Beret. There's a whole other gamut of schools and tests that have to be accomplished. So the Q course is just it's just that. So it's filled with, you know, small unit tactics. Course at the time I had, like, it's called an IUW, Introduction to Unconventional Warfare course, which was 6 weeks. Right, you got SERE school that's in there. And then you have your MRLS school, right, where you learn your trade, which is, I think, is one of the most. It's extremely important to be proficient at what you do, right? Obviously, but it goes without saying, man. But it's you pick your craft, but then you should devote yourself entirely to that craft, right? And then once you do that, right, you go through. They changed it up, but I went to Robin Sage, and then language. That was like my course. So
Getting used to like getting introduced and having to get used to unconventional warfare. How was that aspect for you? Was it like did you really like start to really fall in love with this with the mission set that the Green Berets do? You're like, dang, like this is way better than just doing like DAs.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, that was like a lot of that was new for me, right? Understanding what the mission set was, you know, what Green Berets were kind of founded on, right? Like the founding fathers. So that was there was a big learning curve for me when it came to that unconventional mindset. Yeah, like I would never say like that one is better than the other. I think that's I read in a book somewhere. It's like a heart surgeon and a brain surgeon, right? Like some dudes, this is what they do, and this is what these guys do, And so, when it comes to UW, that mission set really started to appreciate it as I went through the course, right, and start to understand the history behind the Green Beret. That's where I started to find passion for it, right? And like we're not, I don't know what true UW mission has been implemented in the last, I don't know how many years, but yeah, there's only one force that does it, right? There's only one unit that does that, and so, but it's what's cool is I didn't know it at the time, but didn't really think about it. But like the stuff you do, need to learn and just how to build relations, right, and build rapport. That's huge, and that's huge in life, And I did not even think about that before I got in, right? Before I went through the queue. So, looking back at all that, man, that's applicable, all right, across every domain of life, man. It is building those relations, to accomplish whatever the mission set is, So.
So and like during like SUT, are the tactics since y'all are like a what is it, a six man or a 12-man team?
An SUT, man, I think it was. I think it was 12. Yeah, it definitely wasn't 6. Like I mean, we all like, always run these little ops that was like
Yeah,
you do split ops or whatever, but it's definitely above the 10, like by probably like
but
15
tactics are
people.
different, right? Because it's a smaller team compared to like let's say like a Ranger bat where they're bringing like
Yeah,
a big squad with them and stuff. So tactics are gonna have to be like different.
yeah, like the tactics are obviously different when working with a smaller unit, and so going through SUT, you're not doing like division size ops, right? Like I wouldn't know the first thing when it comes to any of that. Uh, it's you're running like it's like a squad. It's a squad mentality, right? So you're able to move differently, right? You're able to execute missions obviously a lot differently. But that's kind of the tactics behind it. So,
Okay. And at this stage of the game, like, are you still seeing people like get dropped?
oh yeah,
Or,
oh
like,
yeah,
what did it get dropped for? Like, if you remember, like, what are some like things they're putting
yeah.
back?
So one thing, right, dudes will get dropped for. I remember it was not being proficient enough, right, at that point in time, right? Whatever, if it's like small unit tactics, uh, not running your missions well, right? So you can when it's you're up. Cool. You plan the op, you execute the op, right? And you have to make decisions and be decisive. So I remember dudes not making it past SUT because of their inability to be decisive, right? When it's time to get after, when it's time to make those decisions, right? In a small battlefield scenario, right? How does this person going to conduct business, And so if they struggle during a scenario that's in the woods or at a cat in the call, or it's going to be difficult later down the road when they have to lead, you know, Afghan commandos, right, on a real mission. So I've seen dudes get dropped for that, and then other stuff too, right? I think most of the farther you get along, the more injuries pop up, and I think that's what gets guys is whether it's you get hurt on a jump or uh, a heat casualty, right? Or I think it's a lot of physical stuff. But yeah, I mean, even like, like yeah, you can definitely get dropped at any time,
Yeah,
for not being for just having bad character. So
yeah, that's crazy, man. Um, And you went to comm school, right? Like during the
Yeah.
course, you go to 18 Echoes or 18 Echo?
Yep. Yeah. So that was at the time 16 weeks. Yeah, it was 4 months of commo stuff, right? So
I heard that school's
uh,
like really like a great school. Like
yeah,
Recon Marine, I interviewed. He went through the Q course, Robin Sage, but he had to like leave there due to personal. But he was saying like, wow, like even in this course, like I learned a lot of stuff I didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Like I picked, I chose that because I wanted to just learn more about computers. So because I just wanted to have more of that in my background. Like you're not like a network engineer or anything on that level, right? You're doing low level network work, and you know, obviously the communication side of the house, right? Whether it's VHF, HF, UHF, SATCOM, whatever it is. You know, I think that was just something I was just interested in. So, but I mean, yeah, the course was. I think it's all courses, man. Like I remember hearing, like you think, like, oh man, my course sucks. You know, it's miserable. You know, right? But then you hear about other stuff, like, man, dude's going through the Bravo course. I remember, yeah, man, I go, that sounds horrible, you know. And then he was going through the Delta pipeline, like, dude, that sounds miserable too. Like, man, I mean, you know, it's I think it's finding what your interests are, right? When it comes time to make that decision, and yeah, I mean, just picking one that best suits you. So
How was that Robin Sage experience? Because I know that's like the culmination of everything. You know, just tactics, unconventional warfare, just kind of putting
yeah,
everything together.
yeah, yeah, that's a struggle, man. That is a very it's a fun experience, right? Because you get to put it all together, you know, and start actually, you know, running some ops. But that's where the real UW mindset kind of comes into play, and you have to learn to adopt that in everything that you do. But yeah, man, like it's not a fun. It's the first 24, 48 hours isn't like the best experience in the world. So, right. I'll leave you to the imagination, right? Whatever the books that are out there and shows, but yeah, it's definitely hard.
Like in terms of like terrain and
Yes.
like
But it all depends, man. Right. Like the experience I had was, I just remember it was like, I don't know, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and then just not stopping until like 8 o'clock the next morning. You know, like you're just moving, and some of the terrain that we had was not fun. You know, and like, dude, this is it. Yeah, this is if it was easy, everyone would do it, and that was the point in time. We're like, man, this is a very hard thing to do. Right? Like everyone else is eating. The weight was miserable, heavy, right? You just feel your spine compressing the entire time, you know. But once you get past like those first kind of 48 hours, and you start kind of running, it's no, I mean, it's, you look back at it, and Robin Sage it's a good experience, you know. I think it does set you up, you know, for later. So
are you still having to like walk at like crazy fast, like 13, 15-minute mile pace during these things, or are they kind of like not as brutal on y'all about that?
no, it's during Robin Sage, it's like it's slower. It's like slower and more painful and heavier, right? Like it's you're running ops, you're running missions, right? You're conducting a mock infill, you know, of a country, and it's so you're not definitely moving at a fast pace when it comes to doing that. You know, it's just long and very far and heavy for a lot of guys, you know. So
Yeah, man, yeah. That's just hearing about it, just hurting my background now. It
yeah,
just sounds
it's
crazy,
yeah, yeah. You know, I still have a couple of buddies who you just connect with, right? Like you get out, and like I don't know. It feels like team guys just kind of find each other. What's weird,
Yeah.
but we joke about Robin Sage, and well, yeah, that wasn't a fun experience, man. Right?
And would
So,
you say like overall, like just the Q course, Robert Sage, did it go how you wanted it to go, or were there some things you really kind of beat yourself up on? Like, man, I should have had that. I should have done way better, or I expected more of myself.
yeah, I think there's always going to be points in some of the schools that you wish you look back on, right, and you're quarterback it, and you're like, oh man, I should have done that, or I should have done this, or whatever. Um, there wasn't anything that I can think of like just that stands out, right? I think honestly one of the biggest things is just learning how to make a good decision when it's time, right? So being decisive, and I think that that plays into everything that you do in every course that you go to, right? Properly prepare, place training at a high value, right, and make a decision and be decisive. And like hesitation, man, kills in that community. So I think that's one of the biggest things looking back that I wish I would have had more experience going through, which that would have made a few things easier for me. But definitely being decisive, man, in all things.
Kind of get into like the military schools that you've attended, and then we'll kind of go into like being on ODA. I know you went through SERE, like you still went through SERE, right, in the pipeline.
Yeah, yeah,
So just kind of going like through SERE, Halo, and Dive, just kind of just want to essentially just get your experience with each. So just kind of starting with SERE, kind of your
yeah,
experience and what that was like for you.
yeah. I mean, SERE schools. All right. All right. I won't dive too deep into SERE. I'll leave that for you if you ever want to go there.
Yeah,
But it's no, it's the education part of it. From the SERE school I got, that I went through in the Army I thought it was great, man. Like you learn, it's survival. So you get to learn a few things there. It's exactly what you expect it to be going through it. Right. It is. So, but yeah, like some of the other schools, I didn't go to like a whole lot of different schools. I was able to they were doing like, free fall for all. There's like a program for like a stint in time, but basically, uh, they're picking dudes to go to, like after you graduated, to go to Halo school. So I was able to go to Halo, which was easily the most fun in a school you ever have in the military. Right? There's jumping out at 12.5. Right? That's an awesome experience. And so, but the one school I wanted was dive school. So for me, I wanted to go to a dive team and I wanted to go to dive school. Just knowing like that challenge, man, and figuring out who you were as a person underwater, right? Like I don't know why it's so attractive, but that's what I wanted, man. So like I just wanted to go to dive. So
was that
but,
was that checking in for that? Like once you got to that school, was that a little more nerve wracking than?
oh yeah, I was probably more nervous going to dive school than I was going through SFAS, man. Like, it's so like how I got my experience was basically I get to be on the dive team if I pass dive school, kind of thing. So went to pre-dive, which was 2 weeks at the time. Water, bro. Like you just spent, it's just water. So much time in the pool, right? That's where like the knot tying is, and you do a bunch of the drown proofing stuff, right? Where they Velcro your hands and your feet, and you got to bob, right, forever. But so you learn, you prep, you do all that stuff. But yeah, checking into dive school, dude, was you just like as you're driving up to like the gate. I remember you just like, man, you can feel the aura, right? Like there's something about being on that small little compound, man. But yeah, that school was difficult to say the least. That was easily the hardest school. That was definitely the hardest school I've ever been to. Not only just physically, right? Mentally, of course, but the academics piece too. Right? There's a whole there's a whole academic piece to it to where you have to learn dive tables and pass a few written tests, right? And so, like that's not an easy thing to do, right? When you're tired and you're just getting smoked every single day, right? So, and I went in June, and so it was nasty, hot, humid. It was miserable. The water was like 80 degrees, I remember, and so like you think you're getting a break by going in the water to kind of cool off, but it's like almost just as hot, man, in that water. It's like you're swimming in a sauna. So,
yeah. What was like one of like the worst like smokings, I guess you could say, you got that when you were
there? Man, it all blends together. But yeah, so pretty much that first night, you get destroyed, right? So you basically got to put on all your gear. You got to do it just the right way. Right. And you're doing it as a class. So one person messes up, you're done. Right. Everyone, you're in laps around the pool, bear crawling, man, you name it, dude. Right. It's like, it's endless. It's up to the cadre's imagination on what they want to do for that, do to you. But, so that first night was kind of miserable. And then, yeah, man, it's just relentless, dude. Every day, it's just something to where something goes wrong, and everyone pays for it. But you're right. There's always a method behind everything. So the smallest of things can go wrong in the water, and it's catastrophic, right? And
Did you see anybody, like any drownings, anything like that?
No, I didn't see any drownings. Dudes will, they have like the, one man comp, right? And you got to pass that, which is the hardest thing to do, I think, at dive school, amongst other things, but that one's really difficult. So dudes, nobody drowned when I was there. Nobody drowned. Nobody, like that whole like drowning thing. Nobody, there's accidents that do happen, right? My class didn't experience anything like that, but yeah, man, like it's like the water, you respect the water at all times. Like I said before, like you're just surviving. Each time you get into the pool, to the ocean, like you don't belong there, right? So you have to make sure your gear, everything is scored away, right? And you just have to like understand the fact that you're just surviving the entire time. You do what you have to do when you're under and you're submerged, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's definitely a mental check, bro.
I feel like you'd be able to sleep, huh? Like you're like almost like it's almost like you don't want to sleep because you're just so nervous about getting your the next day. Like you just don't want to sleep at all or something.
Yeah, it's nonstop, right? And
how long is the course? Like, is it like a couple weeks?
Mine was and it's changed, I think, or it changed when I was going through it, but basically mine was 5 weeks. They didn't take anything out of the course, but they just shortened the timeline, so it was like longer days. But mine was 5 weeks long of just nonstop every day, right? Like 4:30, 5 o'clock, easy, all the way to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes. So,
what was your breaking point moment that you had where you're like, dude, like, how do I, like, did you have that where you're like, how am I gonna keep doing this?
When I was there, and there's not really, I didn't have like that one moment, to where I started to really doubt my abilities, right? Like I failed one man comp the first time. I passed out underwater, right? And I got saved, and so that was a moment of reflection, but to me, I knew I was capable of it. I just didn't work out the first time. So that might have been the one time where I was like, okay, let's figure this out. Right. What do I have to do? Go back, retest. Cool. Right. And pass it. Right. So, man, but you have moments.
At all that you failed? You're like, dude, like failure.
it does mess with you, right? A little bit, right? I mean, but it's not like it wasn't debilitating, like, and I didn't let it become debilitating, right? You're going to have those moments like all throughout just kind of life as a, in SF, but you got to recognize when that's coming. And then you have to trust yourself that you've done everything you can to train up to this one point in life. How am I going to, okay, what do I need to do to execute? And that's part of being that having that decisive mindset, is just not letting the moment just consume you and take over who you are, and right. And breaking you mentally, and focusing on what needs to get done, whatever the task is. That's what I have to focus. I place my attention on, and that's what that's what I did, right? And and sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't work out, right? But man, more often than not, if that's the mentality, the moment won't take you over, right? So,
Did like after you graduated, like, well, before I asked that actually, yeah, no, I should ask this for whenever you did graduate, did like did it give you like a crazy boost and confidence, and like feel your ego a lot, where you're like, I just passed like,
oh yeah, dude.
like,
Yeah, everybody, bro. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's that school is placed in high regard, right, for a lot of reasons. And yeah, once you pass dive school, man, and everybody does, you feel on top of the world for a little bit, right? And you're like, man, I got my bubble, like I passed it. But and then you go to a dive team and you get back to your team and no one cares at all, right? It's like, cool, good job. You should have passed. All right, now let's go back to work, And so, but that, yeah, I mean, like you definitely enjoy the moment for a little bit, and it's something that I'll always take with me, is all those experiences. And I think kind of that. One of the best things about going through any one of those schools, man, right? Even just the military, it doesn't matter. Like, pain is relative for a lot of people, right? And so you go into the military, you go do SOF, you go to Ranger school, you go to freaking dive school, right? You just you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of. And so a lot of things now in life, it's like, I'm okay. Right. Like Goggins, right? He talks about going back into the cookie jar, right? Like that's like that's a good example. That's a good analogy, man, because that's exactly what it is. Sometimes you do feel weak and start feeling sorry for yourself, and right. And you let things kind of take your soul for a little bit, but then cool. I know what I'm capable of as a human being, and I know the depths that I've had to dig, right, out of, and like I know what I've had to gone. Like I've gone through so much stuff. I know what I'm capable of doing. You prioritize, you make a plan, you execute the plan, right? You communicate the plan. Like there's so many different like templates that you can just apply to life after going through all that stuff, man. And that's what I do now. Is I'm a much better person now than I was going before I started. Just kind of just more well-rounded, and how I look at different things in different situations, right? And I apply a lot of stuff that I learned in my day-to-day life, right? And I think that's what's helped me, kind of get to where I'm at. So,
gotcha. So kind of going in like to you're going back to your ODA, you get assigned to a dive team. What group are you in?
I was with the first group. So,
and yeah, what rank are you at this point? Are you like a sergeant first class? Like, what are you?
No, I never made it to SFC. I was sergeant, and then I got there and then picked up staff sergeant. And so as I was getting out, I was up for E7, but I got out instead. So, but yeah, I was E6, but pretty much actually I put on E6 at dive school. I remember, and then I was E6 for the entire time. So,
And then, like you said once you got there, like, cool, man, like you graduated, like time to get back to work, kind of
Mm-hmm.
mentality, huh?
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, you definitely ride that wave for a little bit, right? After you put on your bubble and you get back to your team because now you're one of the dudes, right? Because not everyone's a diver, right? So, it's like, cool. You're like halfway accepted now, like now we can figure out who you really are, but, no, I got lucky, man. When I got back to the team, I feel like I had like, man, not all ODAs are cut the same way. So I had a group of dudes though that were like, man, I feel very blessed to have those people around me, right? It's definitely not they're hard, right? They're hard on all the new guys, and as they should be, but everybody was real respectable. Everybody was real just proficient, right? And what they did, and uh right, and I just tried to learn as much as I can from all the dudes with all the experience and be the best new guy that I could be, right? So fill in the gaps where I could, and I was like immediately I had to go. Basically, what ended up happening was I was I as the junior I filled this senior 3 months on a team, so there was a steep learning curve, but you just figure things out, bro, right? You ask the right questions at the right time to the right people. If you don't know something, you research it, right? But you just you figure it out real quick. You definitely sink or swim. So
How long did it take you to like really like get comfortable in the ODA and for them to really like kind of welcome you where you didn't really feel like a new guy anymore?
man, I felt until like my first deployment. I'm not gonna lie to you, like so I like I only did one combat rotation with the team, but yeah, it's like you can you do all the trainings right, and you can always improve on what you're doing. But man, for me, it wasn't until like, I don't know, deployment time to where I felt comfortable, to where I was, I could say that I was, at the level of some of the other guys, right? Or like, I don't know, at the level to which they could respect me more. I don't know, but it wasn't until that first combat deployment to where that's where I feel like I started hitting a few strides, right? And but I mean, every day on a team, dude, you're earning your spot, so it doesn't matter, right? It's like, of course, you get comfortable with the dudes over time, and they're like your brothers, and you do anything for them, and vice versa. But you're always earning your spot on the team, and
Yeah.
that's what's great about that culture is it doesn't matter how good you were, it's how good you are. All
Yeah,
right.
I think I remember seeing like this video of like when they were talking about like like in all these different teams, like every decision you make could be
Mm.
detriment to whether you keep that beret or not. So every time you make a decision, you gotta ask yourself, is this gonna cost me my beret?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
What is it? You're constantly being assessed is what they call it. That was like the common quote that I always heard is, you're always being evaluated. You're always being
yeah,
assessed, um, and I think that's important in that community, right? You have to maintain a certain level of output, when you get to the ODA. And I think that's great. And I hope it never changes. So,
yeah. So as an echo, like as an 18 echo, communication sergeant, right? That's what it's called.
yeah.
What is your responsibilities like? What does that entail?
So, to kind of sum it all up, you're responsible to make sure you can talk, like your team can talk, no matter where you're at, right? And you can talk back to wherever back is, right? You can always talk back to home. So, I think that's right. Obviously, the radios and computers and stuff. That's all in your section, but it's making sure your team can talk and can communicate, right, via email or radio, right? Whatever it is, man, that's your job. So anything that has to deal with that, to include cell phones, right? Like it's all you, when you go into country or whatever. So
Hardest thing to like the hardest thing for you being a comms guy, like what were you struggling with the most?
I think it's pretty. It can get network heavy, right? In some parts, to where if you had a computer background, right, to where you did networking, right? I think that's where it'd be easier for you. That's where kind of I struggled, is I wasn't the computer guy in high school. Like, I didn't build computers. I didn't do any of that stuff, So that to me was always something I always had to go back and learn and refresh on and try to stay proficient at, was just kind of that more the computer realm, right? That just wasn't my background. So
Yeah. Okay. And what's like a big perk, like being an 18 Echo? Like, what would you say is like a big perk compared to being like
perk? Man, I don't know if we got perks as an Echo. No, man. Like, you're not considered a shooter, right? So like you're always getting the team's always messing with you, right? Because you're the nerd of the team, right? Like, you're like, I don't know. So I don't know if there's a perk, man. I can't think of one that I was like, oh, I'm glad I was an Echo, right? Like, right. I always thought Delta was like, Delta, I think in my opinion, would be like the coolest job, right? If I had to pick a job, Delta, being a medic would be awesome, right? And maybe it's because I had great medics on my team, right? But that I tell dudes, hey, look at medic, it's a good job, So I think talking to Valhalla, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking to Nate. Yeah, I think he might agree with me that like the Echoes are just like they're always the ones that the people just kind of just crap on, man, when they're in. It's funny, right? So
yeah, those guys are absolutely they're freaking legit. I mean, I probably reckon I would, if I had to choose two, that'd probably be one of the ones for sure. Did you work with, like, I'm assuming you had to, right? You work with partner forces. Like, what partner? If you did, what partner forces did you work with?
Yeah, so we worked with right, a few different, when I was like in obviously like the Afghan commandos and those guys, and then we did some training with a few other countries, man. Let's see, some of the places I've been. I worked with like the Rock, right, and went to South Korea, do some stuff with. Obviously, there's dudes in the Philippines, right? We're kind of all over, man. So,
What did you find it pretty easy or kind of difficult to kind of manage those? Because you were essentially like their manager and just kind of their teacher, basically, in a sense.
Yeah, I think that depends on who you're working with, right? Some countries where you definitely learn stuff from them. You're always learning stuff, but some countries it's like you guys you both run classes, and other partner forces you're driving and leading, right? And you're running everything, and so it's interesting to learn how to communicate, right, different aspects of the job to somebody, right? And so you have to learn how to articulate, the mission, whatever it is. And just because you articulated one way to one person, right, and or one groups of individuals, does not mean it's going to work for someone else. So that's always a curve, right, that you have to battle. So
I got you. Yeah, you really have to learn how to be like just a great teacher, basically. That's essentially.
Yeah. That's kind of a something I didn't even think about, right? As I was going through, is like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be an instructor, teacher, right? Like, kind of thing. So, but it's part of the job. You learn it, and it becomes something that you're good at, right? So
100%. So kind of going like into your combat deployment as much as we can, if possible, are you able to kind of tell us like where you were deployed and just kind of the intent of what the mission was?
yeah, so we went. I went to Afghanistan. That was where I spent my time. I was in Kandahar. Um, yeah, I mean the big part of the mission, right, was that's what's cool about an ODA is you get to have your own intel guy, right? So you're driving your own missions that fit the bigger campaign. So, but yeah, man, it's really to go catch as many bad guys as we could, right? Like,
Yeah.
in short, that's exactly what we try to do. So,
And what's your mentality like on deployment? Considering like it's like the real deal now, and you've been through all this training, and essentially,
yeah,
kind of put it into action now.
yeah, it's kind of that first infill, right? That first mission, we did like a confidence target, right? And it's surreal. It was pretty surreal, like you're like, man, I'm finally like you think all the way back to when you first enlisted, like, man, I'm here now. This is it. Now this is where I actually performing. This matters now, right? So I always thought that like as a new guy, right, on deployment, this is like my first trip. Like you don't know anything, like you don't know nothing, right? Like so, again, try to link in with the senior dudes, right, and figure out how they survived all their months in combat, and learning from them. I think is like the biggest thing that like a lot of the new guys try to do is, okay, cool. This sounds like a good idea. Well, it's not. This is a bad idea, right? Or right, or whatever it is. And but yeah, try to make as minimal mistakes as possible, right? In such a high volatile environment. So, but yeah, like for me, I would. Yeah.
Like anything really like go haywire? Like you actually had to send bullets down range, anything like
that?
that?
Yeah, I mean, like, so we had that one mission to where I was, yeah, you get that first ambush, and yeah, you're like, oh shit, it's game time now, right? Like, yeah, right, like that's it's hard to explain. I mean, it's hard to like describe like that feeling, but it's either you or them at that point in time, and it was my mission that I was running, right? And we started taking contact, and it turned into a freaking grenade throwing party, and a couple of us got hit, and and it's like you look back on it, and you're like, man, I should have made this decision to do this earlier. I should have went this, and you definitely learn from your mistakes, and yeah, it's an awakening feeling when you start hearing and seeing, those sounds, right? It doesn't leave you, right? So
Was there any major like casualties or severe injuries that were sustained during this?
So the dudes, some of the commandos got messed up. I remember during that one ambush that we took, and then yeah, like there's a couple of us we got hit with grenades, and I mean, I don't know how we're still standing there. No one can explain that, right? I think we just got lucky as shit, to be honest. So to like for us to still be standing there, right, and make it out. So, yeah, our team didn't experience anything beyond. There wasn't any casualties on like our team, like throughout that deployment. So I mean, definitely got close, right? And there was a casualty on a sister team, like so we did lose one of our good dudes, but you know, so it's just a part of it, man. It's shitty. That's the shittiest part. Nobody likes that shit. So
So once you kind of got like, once you got the taste of war, was it everything you wanted? Like you have guys who like love war, like they'll get a taste of it and they just love, they just can't, they just have
yeah.
that itch to want to keep going back. Did you find yourself having that same feeling, or you were kind of like, man, I don't know, like this is great, but I have a family, and you started thinking about that?
Yeah, I think that feeling of going back, I understood it, of wanting to go back to war, and wanting to go back and do all that stuff. I definitely understood it, right? And um, I don't know. Yeah, it's to say that to say I want to go back, right? Like you know, would I? Yeah, right. If called upon, yeah, let's do it. But um, yeah, of course, you start thinking about your family. You think about your family, obviously, when you're there, and that's a factor to consider. But when you're there, you gotta like you love your family, and there's always thoughts and concerns when it comes to all that stuff, dude. But that's like not to say it doesn't matter, but there's other things right now that do matter, right? That you have to prioritize, and you have to focus on the task at hand, or this goes away, right? So but yeah, as far as like war and that drive to go back, I mean, it's there, man, right? For me it is, right? And I don't think that ever goes away, for me. Some people it does, some people it doesn't, but you know yeah, I got out so I could spend more time with my family, and that's why I got out. But yeah, there's definitely times to where you know you're sitting by yourself, or whatever it is, and you're reflecting on life, and you look back at the times you had, and man, it was definitely an experience I would absolutely do again. So
100%, man. So you, so kind of just you going to where you decide to get out. What was kind of that deciding factor in wanting to get out?
yeah, so I honestly knew before deployment, like I wasn't gonna reenlist. So, but I wanted to go on deployment, did deployment. But for me, I wanted to, like, I grew up playing sports. I grew up playing travel ball, right? And like my wife has, like, we have 3 kids, so I knew that uh, it was going to be a real pain for her to take the kids, right, and to all these different activities, right, and just a big family thing, man. So for me, to do, I wanted something else, right, down the road for me, like
Mm-hmm.
10 years down the road, and so a big part of it was just wanting to be around, right? So that's obviously the downside to all that stuff, and the dudes that are still in it, that are still doing it, right? And like they have to sacrifice a lot, and a lot of people don't understand the amount of like pain and sacrifice that families go through, and it's you see all these videos of all these high speed dudes, right, and these pictures and stuff, but man, there's a whole other piece to it, right, that civilians, sorry, outside military personnel, they just don't get it, they don't understand that piece. And
Yeah,
uh there's nothing but respect for the dudes, all the guys and girls, and the women are still doing it, still getting after it, and still have to make those big sacrifices. It's not easy. So
100%. So just kind of getting into to what you're doing now. I know you say you work with a firearms company, and you're kind of doing your thing with Prime Patriot Fitness. So just kind of walk us through, what you're doing now and kind of what your plans are for the future.
yeah, so yeah, like my current job, I'll leave their name out of it, but I work for a firearms company, and that's what I do. I basically demonstrate products, and um, help people understand the product, right? But great company I work for, good people, right? But with the whole Prime Patriot thing, yeah, man, I was kind of hitting the spot in life to where I was like, man, what am I doing? Right? Like, this is, I was missing the team life. I was missing that camaraderie, and
Yeah.
it's like, it's like, what do I bring to the table, in life? Like, what am I good at? What do I like doing? And so, I just started doing, right, the whole fitness thing. I honestly stayed away from social media for the longest time. Like, I thought it was stupid, but um, I was like, well, what I can help dudes if they might be able to relate to me and my story and my background, and right, like I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, dude. So, it's like, if I can help them get to a point to where they're able to fulfill a dream, and a goal of being in the SOF community or just the military in general, right, that's what, I feel like that's something I could help people with. So, and that's why I started it. But
Yeah, I seen you release the SEFT program.
yeah.
Um, do you have any other programs in the pipeline that you're eventually going to release?
Yeah, so I wanted to do right, small confidence target first. So first thing is you got to be able to knock out the ACFT.
Yeah.
So I did. So that's like a 16-week program based off. It's like progressive, right, in nature, but it's really designed to help somebody who knows nothing about working out, nothing about structure at all when it comes to programming, and give them that to where, cool, now they can go do whatever they want and program whatever they want later, and having just kind of a general understanding. But yeah, I was talking to one of my clients about it, so I'm going to start building, right, try to figure out what's a good length. I'm kind of leaning towards 6 months, but of kind of a program for selections, right, or
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be selection specific or soft or anything yet, but yeah, I'm kind of more of that, next level tier athlete, right? So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I can't wait to see where things go for
yeah,
you. Definitely supportive for sure, man. But
thanks,
I mean,
man. Yeah.
that's everything, man. We really covered everything. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of say before we go?
No, I mean, like I definitely appreciate you having me on here, dude. Right. Uh, the one thing I will say is that the dudes who I served with on my team, right, I'm very blessed to serve with them. Um, and I appreciate all the lessons that they've all given me, right, over the time I spent, and people who join that community, man. It's like I said, it's a different breed of humans that want to do that line of work, right, and who maintain that standard of professionalism and proficiency for such a long period of time, right, over the course of like a 20-year career, right. It's not easy, and so right, like I really do, being like a civilian now, right, and man, you look at it and like these dudes commit a lot of their time in life, and right, it's something that shouldn't. It's like you always try to be a silent professional, man, right? And that's what you're taught, and I believe in that. But those dudes don't get enough credit, right? And any of the military, it's like it's not an easy life, man. And it's a great life. It is. It's one that I would do all over again. But a lot of sacrifices have to be made, and no, man, I appreciate all the people who are still getting after it. So.
Yes, sir, man. Much respect. We need those killers, man. We need the beasts to
Mm-hmm.
keep
Yeah.
coming, man. So yeah, hands down,
Oh
much
yeah,
respect to
man.
everybody that does it, and yeah, thank you, man, for coming on, kind of talking about your story, giving me some advice. So I'm hoping someone can really, kind of
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
something out of this
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
guys,
man.
man, that's the episode. So I appreciate y'all if y'all do watch this. Thank you for tuning in. Please share if there's someone that you know that uh, can benefit from this, or someone who you can, or you yourself. So really appreciate y'all, and just like, subscribe, and share so we can continue to get these stories out there. But that's it.